falling. The sky is falling. We couldn't win on the road against Texas A&M. Sky is falling. We will never win another baseball game ever. Inclement weather on a midweek, we will never win. Arkansas is going to come in here and whip our candy asses. Hashtag The Rock. We will never win another baseball game. That's what I heard this week. But here is the truth. We do need to have a conversation about LSU baseball, a serious conversation, especially about when they go on the road and how tough it is to win in this conference on the road. Offensively, can they find it on the road ever? Offensively, can they find it against a very, very good pitching staff in Arkansas this upcoming week? Can we, as a team, find the bats when it matters? Here's the truth. You don't like losing to Texas A&M. Neither do I. The truth of the reality of the situation that is at hand is simple when you ask me. When you ask me about this situation, it's very simple. You are in a place right now where what happened this past weekend doesn't mean anything. You did not fall out of the top of the rankings. You're still in the top 5. You're still one of the better teams in the SEC. You still have a top 8 RPI in the conference. You still have one of the toughest schedules, even somewhat remaining, if we're going to be honest, that you got to take on another top 5 opponent this week in the University of Arkansas Razorbacks. You have everything in front of you. You win these next 2 series, you 1,000% are going to host. And quite frankly, even if you lose this series and you beat and or what you probably need a sweep against Paul Maneri and the Gamecocks, which it seems as if Paul Maneri will not be fired. Even though there were some things that were out there that he was. South Carolina last night and today had a bad day of reporting from some of their beat writers, and it seems for maybe some of ours, maybe we had the same. But nevertheless, on either one of those, when we look at this weekend, you have everything in front of you. The sky's not falling, not yet. It's not yet. But this weekend offensively was not great, and we'll touch on that. A.J. Haulcy, the Houston transfer, commits to LSU and signs with LSU, so we'll talk on him as well. You know who joins us on Mondays. It's Carter the Power Bryant, and if I'm feeling frisky at the end of the show, I know that we had some events that happened today that, yes, I am petty enough and humble enough to admit when I can be petty. We have time at the end. We'll get to those as well. I think you know what I'm talking about. Paul Sub says that the bats need to find their soul ASAP. We're wasting good pitching. Shit, we're wasting damn near elite pitching at this point. Keith says all SEC teams are having difficulty times playing on the road this season, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And I will remind everybody, some of you social media-wise, it is very clear to me that some of you don't watch baseball outside of LSU. Like, let me give an example. Arkansas had lost 3 weekends in a row, 3 weekends in a row before they swept Texas. Blake, they swept the number 1 team in the country. Guys, Texas is not the Texas that we played right now. Their Friday night guys out. The reigning Big 12, a player of the year, and Max Ballou, he's out. Guys, they have injuries galore at Texas at the current moment. They're just getting somewhat healthy in some of their key positions. Guys, their bullpen, they have 6 guys that they can turn to. 6. And if one of them is off, then bad shit starts happening. Bad shit. And what I mean by guys that they can turn to, I'm talking about just simply competitive guys. It's not as if right now that they have they don't have a Cade Anderson. They don't have right now a guy that has shown that consistently they can go out there and do some really good things like Anthony Ianson at the current moment. They are wounded. They are a wounded animal right now. And I think we look at Arkansas and say to ourselves, "Oh man, because they swept number one Texas, they're going to come in here and they're going to sweep us." Guys, I am just telling you, if you don't see some of the flaws with Arkansas just as well as you see the flaws with LSU, you're just quite simply not watching college baseball. There's no way that you are. There's no way that you're watching college baseball in the sense of that you didn't know that, right? That you just simply didn't know that. Hell, let's get into the conversation now. This weekend versus Texas A&M, you simply could not get it done. That is just the overall arching theme for not just you, for what seems to be every team this year in the SEC on the road. Because Arkansas goes on the road. Their bats that were electric couldn't find it. Texas, for the first time, goes on the road against a ranked opponent. Their bats can't find it. LSU goes back on the road. Again, splits a doubleheader. And quite honestly, I saw a lot of you saying that you thought that they should take game one, that the whole thing was rigged. I'm not here to debate you because I do think the game, when you miss when LSU left on Wednesday, they were there all day on Thursday. You could have played the game at 12 noon on Friday to miss that weather, but they didn't want to do that. They wanted to stress the shit out of you to win, and good on them. That is on you. That is on you to respond to that situation. You took one of two. And then at the end, and we will have a conversation in just a moment about Zach Cowan, but in reference to Zach Cowan, he did get rocked, and I understand that. But the God's honest truth was, guys, in game one and game two, and thank God that you won, you couldn't find it at the plate. Derek Curiel, a young guy, did not see lefties well. He got his first hit when he saw the second righty all weekend. He had 2 ABs against a right-handed pitcher, and he went 1 for 2 against a righty. Guys, quite frankly, I have a hot take that I don't want to say to anybody. Name a guy that's very prominent that has been from the left-handed side and can deal that you've absolutely blistered or gotten more than 3 runs on. You didn't do it against Pico Khan. You didn't do it against Arkansas a couple of years ago. We have struggled against left-handed pitching. You know what a lot of other teams do too? They struggle against left-handed pitching. Solid left-handed pitching. It's why you got the Pico Khans of the world. It's why you got the Cade Andersons of the world. It's why Ryan Prager did what he did against your lineup. And guys, quite frankly, I do think that you've been in a situation where that they 1,000%, the league has had a very tough time responding. In reference to LSU, guys, outside of situations from Bear Jones, nobody else could find it. I think that Danny has struggled down the stretch here a little bit of just, I think he needs to choke up a little bit. I think he needs to try to put the ball playing hard. I think that his hands, he can be fast. I feel like he's using too heavy of a bat, that he's not getting there. Like everybody's throwing him inside, by the way, which he needs to back up in the box or choke up on the bat. That is just my opinion. You're going to disagree or agree with my opinion. It's just what I think. But he's got to find something different. Because Stephen Milam had 3 hits on the weekend. So you could say that he's still in a little bit of a slump, but he had 3 hits on the weekend, more than anybody on the team not named Jared Jones. And Ethan Fry, really, for what it's worth. Ethan Fry saw left-handed pitching very well, but you couldn't do anything behind it. And every time that you had production from Ethan Fry, Pearson on Friday, or whoever it may be, you quite simply, when the going got tough and runners were in scoring position, you could not get the big hit on the road. That has been a problem for you all year in these tough, hostile environments. And I know what you see too. What you see here is that you see a team that has been in a situation where that they have not been good all year. A&M struggled at the plate just as much as you did. There are a couple of decisions that we'll get to in a minute about Jay Johnson that I did not agree with this weekend. Like pitching to Caden Sorrell, who's played in 21 games and, guys, has 10 home runs. And almost half of all of the games that he has been in, he's hit a bomb. The first time that he doesn't see a left-handed pitcher, and he didn't have a hit all weekend until that moment, but the one time that he didn't look bad at the plate. Now, Jay made a lot of really good decisions, but the truth is, I understand a lot of y'all's frustrations about this team, what happens to them at the plate in moments. It is not, there are no bones to be picked in reference to, I understand your complaints. I do. Guys, in the first half of that Tennessee series, okay, you couldn't find it. But the truth was, you turned around on game 3, and you turned around against a team that's going to win the Southland Conference, and you run-ruled the both of them. You run-ruled the both of them. So for me, when I look at this, I understand you did not have a good week on the road. You haven't been hitting good on the weekends when you're on the road, and that's just quite simply the truth. But I also can look at a 4-game sample size and say a game against Tennessee, a game against Southeastern Louisiana, and a game in really 5 games, but in the first 2 games against A&M. In that 4-game, or let's just call it a 5-game sample size, in that 5-game sample size, in 2 of those you run ruled. Baseball is an up and down sport. There's a reason you're not outside the top 5 from D1 baseball. There's a reason. The reason is because every other team has been struggling with the same shit you have. Clemson's been doing it. And I know that you don't hold LSU to that standard. But guys, you had issues just as much. It was a completely different situation. And that your bullpen just stunk. You didn't have the issue of not being able to hit the ball in 2023. But they got to find different approaches at the plate. So let's get into it. I thought a couple of things this weekend. Pitching, guys, quite honestly, I know that you gave up 6 runs on Sunday. It is what it is. You got 2 very elite starts from Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson. And Anthony went 9 games. He's a player of the week, and he should be. But I look at the performances, and Cade got squeezed in game 1. Guys, you got really good pitching performances. You lost 3-1. And then you won 2-1. I mean, if you tell me that you give up 3 runs in game 1 and you only give up 1, if you give up 4 runs in 2 games, what I would tell you is that you should win the both of them. You should have won the both of them, on the road or not. That is the simple nature of the beast. The simple nature of the beast is, even though Prager and Lampkin have been really good, you should have won those games. Your pitching, especially your starting pitching, and some of the things that we saw this weekend, I think it's good enough to make you a run into the postseason. Really, I do. Because really and truthfully, you'll be in a 3-4 game sample size. And teams that lose in these regionals and lose in the super regional, I trust you 2 out of 3 games against anybody, especially when it's at home. Now, you get away and shit starts getting really, really crazy and really weird. But LSU has got a battle, and they got something staring right in front of them that they can take it to them. But the pitching was very borderline, guys. Let's call it what it is. It was very good. In moments and times this weekend, it was borderline elite. Now, down the stretch, and I'll talk about some things I just don't agree with Jay on. And it's very rare that I disagree with Jay on some things. The one thing that I disagree with Jay on is simple. I would not have pitched it anybody on that team for Luis Hernandez in game 3. Nobody. No one. In game 2, I didn't like that John Pearson got his first start in SEC play in that situation. I thought it was a horrible time to put him in there, but I understand that logic. I understand the logic of putting John Pearson, another power right-handed bat, in the lineup. You got to, if you were going to do that, you should have done it weeks ago to get him a little bit more prepared. I didn't like that. But I thought Jay did make a lot of really good decisions, especially from the pitching aspect. The pitching aspect of going to a couple of lefties to get Chase Laviolette, guys, who quite frankly is as dangerous as anybody, So is Caden Sorrell. You ran out of a left-handed pitcher, and you went back to Cowan, who you should have gone to a Cowan 10 times out of 10. Righty on lefty matchup. The one time you didn't play the matchup, okay, from a pitching perspective, and you didn't have another left-handed arm that could get out Laviolette and that could get out Caden Sorrell, it finally bit you on in game 3. That is the truth. That is the truth. It bit you in game 3 when you didn't play the matchup game. So you can be mad at Jay for playing that matchup game all that you want to. I understand why you would be mad that Jay played the matchup game in games 2 and games 3. Guys, it worked. It worked. You got to be able – listen, as much as I say that – I said on the postgame show on Saturday, when elite teams find ways to respond on the road, like you did in game 2 with Anthony Ianson, what really damn good teams do, and teams that are championship caliber and championship worthy in situations like you had on Sunday, they find ways to get out of there at least once. LSU's got to find that. And I think that anybody that watches the team knows that. Let's get to Zach Cowan. Cowan has been touched a little bit the last couple of weeks, the last 3 weeks, if we just want to be all told. If we're going to go there with Zach Cowan, this is what I think is happening. What I think is happening is everybody knows that changeup is coming. They're sitting on it, and they're blasting it when they get it. He's going to have to find location quickly, and I mean very quickly, because if he doesn't – and listen, at some point I always felt like Casey Evans and Zach Cowan, as excellent as they've been, at some point they were going to get touched. Guys, it just happened in an unfortunate time. A very, very, very unfortunate time. I am not worried about Zach Cowan or Casey Evans. I love what I saw from Chase Shores, though. He gave up a bomb, but he was the most consistent that he had been since Oklahoma. The matter of fact is here, you're going to have to find the sticks quickly. Quickly. I want to bring this up before we get to a break and we get moving here. All I would say is this. I don't like the approach that some of these guys have at the plate. I don't. I don't mind. I don't talk about anybody's approach to the plate until you start struggling. My thing with this team is I feel like that they're just trying to pull the ball too much. I feel like that they're just not making the right baseball swing. Balls pitched on the outside. Stop trying to pull everything. Go the other way. Try to square the ball up and try to hit the top of the baseball as hard as you can. When you're struggling, you got to do the right things. You know who did that this weekend, by the way? Stephen Milam. In the 3 hits that he got a line drive into left field, a line drive into center field, and a line drive into right field. He made the right play. One right down the middle, he took right back up the middle. One on the outside half that he took it to left field, and one where they tried to jam him in, and he took it into right field. Some of the approaches at the plate, and I know Jay is going to let these guys work it out, but one thing that I would emphasize is make the right play. Make the right play, and it will benefit you. It is a massive weekend, and here's a fact. For me, I think you're going to be fine. I think you're going to be more than fine. I do think a lot of this is baseball, but for me, and I'm only speaking for me here, for me, I go into a situation like this and say to myself, listen, I know that you have talent. I know that you're capable of doing it. You got to go out there and show it. You have the ultimate weekend this weekend to do that. You have the perfect time to do that. Go show that you can be that team that everybody knows that you can be. You'll be fine. All right. Let's get to this. Let me get to a quick break. When we come back, we are going to talk about A.J. Haulcy. And in A.J. Haulcy, we'll tell you what we think of his commitment and signing, and then Carter Bryant will be joining us shortly after. Let me tell you about our good friends, though, over at Service Hawk Digital Marketing, where they give you the right leads with smart systems and real growth. Get the marketing system that works for you today by going over to servicehawk.io. That's servicehawk.io today. If you're in the HVAC, electrical pros, generator pros, roofing, you know that you need a marketing team that can push for you. That's Service Hawk Digital Media, Service Hawk Digital Marketing, servicehawk.io today. Let me get to a quick break. When we come back, got lots to discuss. Stay with us.
BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Guys, let me tell you about our good friends over at Grand Slam Heating and Air, where your comfort is their top priority. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they promise to provide customers with high-quality HVAC service at an affordable price while ensuring the homeowner peace of mind. From their office to your home, they guarantee the best hassle-free experience around. Efficiency and comfort is their game. Let them make your home Grand Slam today. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they're offering their annual maintenance plan starting off at $18.75 a month and also doing those $99 tune-up promotions. They provide free estimates for system and ductwork replacement, as well as offering financing to get the job done with no money up front. From Baton Rouge to Hammond to Covington, they're all around. So what you need to do today, give them a call at 225-380-9065. That's 225-380-9065. Or go over to the website, getgrandslamair.com. That's getgrandslamair.com, where your comfort is their top priority.
We're back.
All right. Absolute craziness. Let's get to this. LSU got a massive commitment yesterday from Houston safety A.J. Haulcy, who in his 3-year career in college so far has tallied 259 tackles, and in 2023 had 98 of them, which is very massive. But last year was asked to play a different role under Willie Fritz, who was a first-time head coach at Houston, where he had 74 tackles and 5 interceptions. Along with those 5 interceptions, 8 PBUs were tacked on to it. Here's what I think with A.J. Haulcy. I think at strong safety, he is your best option. I think at strong safety, you get a bona fide playmaker and a guy. And what I mean by playmaker is a guy for us that can actually and is willing to go in there and make tackles. You've seen him come into Death Valley in 2022 against Jaden Daniels and make 4 open field tackles against what arguably is one of, if not the fastest quarterback that we've seen back there outside of like Michael Vick or maybe even Lamar. But I do think that Jaden is definitely one of those dudes that can hit the edge and definitely make you pay when you let him get the edge. There were multiple times in that game versus New Mexico that A.J. Haulcy did not allow that to happen. Here is the truth, and a truth that is very simple for all of us. Guys, LSU the last 2 seasons, whether you agree with what Matt House did from a play calling aspect or you didn't, or you did or didn't, it doesn't matter. The overall action at safety and the overall play at safety has been horrendous. Sage Ryan, Major Burns, God bless them, they have not performed at the level that we would be accustomed to seeing at LSU safety be and play at. They did not make great up and field tackles. They were not able to get angles. We've seen this kid actively do it. That is the biggest thing. And more than that, you've seen him do it in actual games against what we know was arguably, not even arguably, the fastest quarterback in 2022. It is of my opinion that you needed to go out there and get a safety. I do not know if Bernard Gooden is the defensive tackle necessarily that you needed. You got him. But more than anything, at the safety position, I don't know if you have a guy there that can openly and consistently make an open field tackle if their life depended on it. I don't. The massive runs that we have seen from this LSU team this spring, the ones that have been busted loose by Caden Durham, the electric running back, has been horrible angles by safeties and not being able to make plays when it mattered. That would be the biggest and number one concern that I have. In reference to the player, guys, that's 259 tackles that you added to your safety room that you do not have. I understand one of them came at New Mexico. I understand that one of them came in Houston, and I understand what he did last year in the Big 12. I get that it is a massive jump from the Big 12 all the way to the SEC. Can this kid come in here and find a way to earn the right to start? Because quite simply, from what I was told, number one, he didn't make the money that was reported. We'll get to that after Carter leaves. But number two, I know for a fact that they did not give him a starting position and tell him he was a bona fide starter coming in here. Let him go to work. And I promise you, unless you have some competition that breeds success here, nobody that plays strong safety for you right now is better than this kid. No one. He is the most willing tackler and a guy that will make the right angle that we have quite simply not seen. The title of this episode that we put on the thumbnail here was this: Final Puzzle Piece, ? And what I would say is, and a lot of you asked me this weekend, if Haulcy were to commit, would this be the quote-unquote cherry on top? No, I don't. I think it's the sprinkles, though. I think it could be the sprinkles. And there's nothing wrong with sprinkles on a good Sunday. Not a damn thing. I still think that you might lack in some areas. And we're going to find that out. We're going to find it out very quickly. But there's one thing that I know for sure. I have not seen any safety that you've had on this roster that's ran down the Heisman Trophy winner. That's what I know. I have not seen with my own eyes anybody that you have at safety that ran him down and forcefully made a tackle. No one. Because the reason you were in the portal as heavy as you were was mainly due to the fact that they felt as if, the staff felt as if, that they did not have the dudes that could get it done. You don't go in the portal if you think that you got dudes. You don't go into it as actively as LSU did if you think that you got dudes. You got a whole 2023 recruiting class to replace. That's pretty much the truth. Your 2023 recruiting class, splattered to the ground. Your top dudes aren't here anymore. You had to replace them. And that's what you had to do because you felt like that you weren't good enough and that you had to go get other dudes to make up for that. I think this kid is one of them. I think he can be rangy. He is not a free safety in the SEC. He will get eaten alive if you're not putting him close to the box. He will get eaten alive in this league. You got to find a free safety. But as far as somebody coming down and willingly making a tackle, 100% AJ Haulcy would do it. All right. I know we just went to a quick break. Let me get to another quick one. Carter Bryant, Power Hour, joins us next. Stay with us. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on by.
We're back.
Carter, the power, Bryant. Good evening, good sir. How are you?
Blake, LSU set another record tonight with 5 former athletes at the Met Gala.
What the hell is a Met Gala?
I don't know. I know it's I think it's a fundraiser of some sort. But Joe Burrow.
I did see that Flau'jae was there.
Flau'jae, Angel, Sha'Carri, Joe, and Justin Jefferson. Joe Burrow and Justin Jefferson. And some capital J journalism today.
All right.
You're too scared to talk about it. Yeah,
I'm not scared. I just don't know if I want to give a platform to something that's constantly been an issue.
You're afraid he's going to body bag you. That's the problem.
Look at you coming out here being petty and shit. All right, here's the truth. So anybody that missed it, AJ Haulcy was reported today that he was the highest paid player on your roster and from the transfers. He's not remotely close.
No. And basically, so I did a Haulcy film.
You petty. You so petty.
Look, I like I said, I'm not as inside baseball as you are with the reporting, but even I knew that. A lot of people knew that wasn't the case here. Mm-hmm. And I think what happened is you kind of get like a half truth out there. There was a Miami message board rumors, and then you just kind of form a report. And my thing is this isn't the first time that this has happened.
Yes.
That you're wrong.
Who are you telling? With the Caden Durham thing, who are you telling?
Well, even that aside, okay.
Al Davis, who are you telling?
If I were to because I have a journalism degree. I am not a journalist, though. I'm a personality, if you will, online personality. Mm-hmm. Basically what you are. Okay. You do more source reporting than I do, and I have a degree in it. I do some, but not as much as you do. But when he got wrong that Lincoln Riley was going to be the next head coach at LSU. Okay.
I remember. That
was bad enough. But we're here now, and it keeps happening. And I know you get a lot of messages about it. I get my Discord was just popping as far as this was concerned today, because we've done so much Haulcy content. You've done so much Haulcy content, and that was just never the case. That was just never, ever, ever the case.
Yes.
And with any coaching search, okay, a local reporter is never going to get the coaching search higher. It's just never, ever, ever going to happen.
It's a very unique situation. The only one I've ever seen do it was Lucci at A&M for Elko.
Okay. That is the most plugged in, like.
Right. But name another.
He is Texas A&M media, basically. And there's other great reporters that cover that team. But, and I don't even think he would say he's a reporter. I don't think he would claim that.
No, but a story like that, he wants to put his foot down and say it's mine, right? Like he's the only one though. So to your point,
yes. So and that's nothing against. I mean, I think he would say the same thing here. He's a different type of personality, if you will. I just always want people to be skeptical of everything that you read, because the same people break 90% of the stories that most people care about.
Yes.
Okay. If it was true that AJ Haulcy was the highest paid LSU transfer, I mean, we're 4 or 5 years into this thing. It would have been Pete Nakos that reported it. It would have been someone that's had the big NIL stories. Okay. Someone that would really want that to be out there. Okay. Because I don't think AJ would want that out there. I don't think LSU would want that out there. And that's why you had what you had today. So, I was shocked. I was like, wait, that's not what I was led to believe. But, this isn't shade. This isn't even shade. I'm not even doing like, it kind of has been, but it's not really, it's just one of those things where like, I have a degree in this. I'm not saying I'm Ross Dellinger or freaking Grantland Rice here, but I'm just saying, I know how a lot of this stuff works. It's not going to come from that person. It's just not. Like it rarely, if ever, is. Maybe the assistant analyst to the wide receiver coach's next door neighbor, you might get that story. Okay, but I rest my case.
Here's the only thing that I'm going to say here in reference to this. I was going to just briefly bring it up. I agree with everything that you said.
Yeah.
Okay. In reference to this, I would just say this. The problem, and by the way, for me, because I got tagged into this, okay, like because the coach he was going after for whatever reasons that aren't true, by the way, I got tagged and thrown into this, and I've been thrown into a lot of these unbeknownst to me. I will tell you where I was, okay, and we'll have the business owner that I was with bring this up. I was in a client meeting, a new client meeting that we're bringing onto the show today. Okay, in Baton Rouge with my phone on silent. And I turn my phone on. I got 46 text messages. Okay, I have a couple of missed calls, and everybody's freaking out behind this. And I had no idea what was going on. None. Zero. No clue. Quite frankly, didn't give a fuck. Okay, my part was I'm trying to run a fucking business. So then I get put into this, okay, which has, unbeknownst to me, I don't know anything at this exact moment. Here's what I tell you. You start putting reports out there that this kid's making more money than other players on that roster. What do you think? What do you think the first thing that's going to happen is? What do you?
People go crazy.
People will get pissed. You mean that this kid is more valuable than me? You think that this dude is more valuable than me? It will happen. Now, I do think that the justification that came out today was, well, that's the only reason why this was reported or the situation happened on how, the interaction happened between the reporter and a coach that's on staff, okay? And even more that's on a coach that's on staff. The problem that I have with this is simple. Okay, are you trying to tell me that they don't know?
Yeah. Exactly.
And by the way, it did not happen. And this has got to come to an end. We all get shit wrong all the time. Not like this. Not like this. That is just that's where I stand.
Rice to tell me to plead the fifth, so I take everything back. But I've been asked about it a good bit, and I know you've been asked probably more than I.
I didn't even bring it up until right now.
Well, yeah, I do think it's important because it's just going to keep happening.
Yeah. I mean, I think the fan base has got to. The problem is they want to know if it's true.
That's my point.
Right. Okay. And what creates chaos is that you got to answer every single person that's asking you this. And you get tired of fucking answering the same question over and over and over and over and over and over again. No, it's not true. The kid came out. Here's the truth. The kid came out wanting X. The truth is no kid inside of the portal, no one, there wasn't one this spring that got what they wanted. That is a fact. Nobody.
Yeah.
Hey, Nico Iamaleava get the $4 million he was asking?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay. And you think that this happened here? No. If this were Caleb Downs, yes, I could see that being the understanding. That kid's worth $1 million.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And
go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
No. To your point, the bottom line is Haulcy's going to be pretty solid.
Let's get there.
Yeah.
What do you think? So AJ Haulcy commits. Your thoughts on the addition?
Blake, he's a very good player. I think your most likely scenario is you're going to get a better version of a Craig Lawson, if you will. And I think a best case scenario is he is an all SEC player. Blake, he's a 3-year starter. So he's got a lot of starter snaps. His third ever game was in Tiger Stadium playing for New Mexico. Made tackles.
Ran down Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, knocked him out for the series. He's a physical player. And he is a guy that's very creative with the football in his hands. He'll give you a few broken tackles after the catch. An overall reliable tackler, a guy that is very physical. You look at some of the teams he played against, went up against Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, made a few good plays in that game versus Iowa State, takes on blockers, not afraid to blow up screens, not afraid to be aggressive and be bold. Once he takes an angle, he's going to go down there and
he's going down there with bad intentions.
Right. And, the big thing for me, and something that, I've talked about quite a bit, the thing that really hurt the LSU defense, last week we talked about rush yards before contact. Where it got really bad, though, is even though running backs did have really clean run-throughs and quarterbacks as well, your safety still has to find a way to make the tackle, okay? And Haulcy overall was good at that. Now, he would miss them on occasion and give up a few 40, 50-yarders, but for the most part, he was really good at that, and that's what LSU really needs. You talked about it a minute ago with the long touchdown runs that Caden Durham was having in practice, one of which, was released by LSU media, and there was a missed tackle on that. There was an opportunity to bring him down. Once again, Caden Durham's faster than 90%, 95% of the ball carriers you'll play next year. But Haulcy will more than likely make that play for you next year. So, Blake, he is a very good player. Is he, like you said, a Caleb Downs level transfer? No, nobody is. Is he like Andrew Makuba, who we talked about quite a bit on this channel, who we both adore, played at Texas?
Yeah,
probably not that. He's probably not that good either, but he's really good. And Craig Lawson would have been by far the best LSU safety on last year's team and the year before. Craig Lawson, for anyone that knows, he's a former 5-star recruit, played in the early 2010, 2011s. He was a very good player, and that's what LSU needs at this point. So I think
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go on. You go on.
Well, I'll just add, is AJ Haulcy the best safety in LSU's room right now?
Yes. I don't even need to think about that at this point. And I think that is not a bad thing. I do think that's a good thing because safety play oftentimes comes down to who you're next to at safety. Blake, you have a relationship with Brandon Taylor. Brandon Taylor wouldn't have been as good with Eric Reed and vice versa because those two knew each other, were good football players, right?
Right.
One was like a truly otherworldly longtime NFL player, and the other was Brandon Taylor, who actually led that defensive tackles that season. And then you go to a few years ago, John Battle. I've gotten to talk to John Battle over the phone, what it was like playing next to Jamal Adams. He said that, the defensive players appreciated that he was always reliable and that Jamal Adams was able to fly around and go make plays because Jamal trusted that John Battle would clean everything up and do his role, right? So having a guy that's had success and actually played a really solid full year with good PFF grades and playing a lot of good offensive players, having that one player will make whoever LSU rolls with at the other true safety position better just by having one solid piece. So part of the problem last year, Blake, wasn't just that Sage Ryan wasn't great. It's that both safeties at the same time
Were
weren't
very
good.
bad.
So
Right.
that would make
And Jordan Gilbert was bad.
there were some games he was good, and then there was other games where it just was tough, and that would just make matters way worse. So I think Haulcy coming in is going to make someone like Deshaun Spears better, or whoever else will be the other safety. So I think he raises the floor of the LSU defense by a lot.
When I see AJ Haulcy, I see a strong safety. I don't see a guy that can play free for you like he did in moments last year versus or for Houston. Do you agree with that? I know he's got some crazy ball skills, but he is just not a free safety in this league. He is a strong without a doubt. And so when I ask you that question, everybody's asked me about Cooley, Tamarcus Cooley. I don't think it affects what Tamarcus does. I fully think it affects what Javian Toviano does.
Yes, I agree with that. And honestly, Blake, I do think he can play free safety. It just depends on what he's being instructed to do.
He's not covering the deep middle third. You cannot put him in that situation.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, Blake, I went in when I sat down and watched him. I thought I was not going to like him as much as I was going.
Why is that?
Just because it's the Big 12, and they have that long time reputation of whatever, and a lot of his rough games I felt came at the end of the season.
He was kind of checked out.
Yeah, and then the whole team was just kind of, the only game I felt last year that I thought was just not great was BYU. That was the final game of the season. They were 4-7. BYU was having a magical year, and he just had a tough outing. The PFF grades backed that up. He missed a huge tackle in that game. That would have changed a good chunk of the outcome, in my opinion. It was a rough outing versus Arizona as well on the road. But other than that, Blake, I thought it was really solid. I really enjoyed watching him. Now, is that a guarantee it's going to translate over? No, it's not a guarantee. But there are no guarantees at the safety position right now for LSU, and he is the closest thing to that in that room. So, like I said, I think just having one safety who I know is going to, at the very least, be solid is going to make this room so much better.
Do you think that this could be a final puzzle piece to a defense that can crack the top 30?
Yeah, I do. I really do. Because the only position that was just, to me, glaringly, oh my goodness, what are you going to do? Was that position. And Blake, we've seen a major shift in sports. I've seen it in football. I've seen it in the NBA, honestly, is that athletes and teams are just so much smarter now that sports has become a weak link mentality, right? It used to be that stars can go out there and win you a lot of games, right? USC wasn't strong at every single position. They had Reggie Bush. Didn't matter. Football, to me, is a weak link sport, right? Could you have an absolutely positively phenomenal Cam Newton, once-in-a-generation player that can make an overall mediocre Auburn team win the Natty? Sure, you can have that, right? But it's not really happened since then, okay? Football, you've got to have a less amount of weak links, and I look at weak links as a position group. Like, I was very concerned about the safety position. And I'm not saying Haulcy is the next coming of freaking Laron Landry or someone like that. It's just one extra guy that is added to a very, cloudy situation that makes it feel a little more comforting that you might have an answer there. And like I said, if one guy is good, it makes the life easier. It makes the other safety's life so much easier if one or the other guy is actually a solid player. So it really did move the needle. I rarely feel that way about any transfer, but it really did make me feel a lot better about this season.
It makes me feel better about the season too in this sense. I said this last week, but you know this better than most. Come beginning of May, I start really digging back into football. It's always how I have been. Yep. Somebody taught me how to clip videos this week, and so now I don't have to come in here and watch stuff. I can sit in my recliner and do it. I think that you could make the argument for these couple of things in the games that I've already went back and rewatched. I don't know if you shut out South Carolina, but if you have better safety play and anybody that can remotely tackle at linebacker and at safety, that game does not get out of hand like that. I think the same thing can be said in reference to Ole Miss. A couple of their big runs is because, quite frankly, you had safety play that was scared to make plays. And I mean that. They were scared to make some plays when it came to going down here and making tackles on anybody. And then they made bad angles. Remember the Ulysses Bentley run, the 50-yard run? How did that happen? Because Major Burns made a wrong decision and took a wrong angle, right? Like multiple ones of that. I did think that Major Burns made a great play on Trey Harris. Trey Harris just made a better play on him. The problem that I have here is I don't know if safety was I do think safety was probably the worst. I don't know if the interior of that defensive line is ready, though. I don't. But I would say this, the last time that you went out and got 3 experienced DBs, and I even throw Jakeem Jackson into that sum, but you go out and get Mansour Delane, you go out and look, Mekhi Garner, Joe Fouché, and Jared Bernard-Converse, 3 guys that one played in the Big 12, okay, he started. One guy played in the Sun Belt. He started. And then the guy that was in the SEC, he was a rotational player. We've seen DBs from the Big 12 that have that much experience make massive plays for you. Carter, all I needed to see was him run down Jaden. It was it. It was the first thing that I needed to see. Because as soon as that happened, brother, what are we talking about here? Right? Like, what are we literally talking – as a freshman, he had 10 tackles in that game. Now, that offense sucked, if you remember. But I do think that defensive tackle, I'm still a little bit worried if they can be consistent enough there. In reference to safety, you need a free safety that can ball. Is that Deshaun Spears? I don't know. But I feel like you're much better at strong safety now, and a guy that I think is versatile enough to play star, if I'm being honest. If shit starts not working out with Perk, that kid can play star for you. He is versatile in everything that he does. But here's the thing that I love more than anything. What I loved more than anything in watching A.J. Haulcy was there was a tackle against Jack Besh, okay, this past year. It's actually the play before this one. It's our thumbnail for tonight for anyone listening on the audio. This is the pick. The play before that, he locks down Jack Besh. He locked him down. I mean, in the slot, he locks him down. Carter, you ain't had nobody that has that tenacity. You haven't had anybody in that room that will go down there and, excuse my French, will lay a motherfucker out. That is the truth. The mentality has not been. By the way, the time before that about Besh goes over the middle and he comes downhill. And while he's hitting Besh, on the way down, he's giving him some forearm action, massive pause, but he's giving him forearm action. He's hitting him in his throat. I want a motherfucker. That's what I want. We talk about we've had poodles. You damn right you have. You damn right you've had. It's time to go out there and knock somebody's chin strap right off their chin. That's I'm not saying that he can bring that every play. The whiff that you're talking about against Arizona, Carter, he's trying to light the kid up and he misses. They were going to lose that game anyway. Well, I think they wound up winning it, but I thought they would lose it anyway. Regardless, you needed him, and you needed him bad. Yeah. When you look at this team, go ahead.
Well, but before I go, I want to shout out, I always say in the chat, I need some supers. I didn't do it tonight. Our girl Paris in
yes.
ATL. Yes. I got to show some love. Sorry. Even though before you answer this, though, there is a problem. Okay. She's a Duke basketball fan.
Yikes.
God, Paris, please.
I'm a Matt McMahon basketball fan.
I am too. She says, do you trust Joe Sloan with his offensive play calling?
Yeah, so P. Scott with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, P. Scott, for that. You answer it.
No. I don't, but I'm optimistic. I'm very optimistic. Because
I don't understand the run game sequences. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's that, and I mean, it's so hard to field an amazing offense when you lose that many snaps on your offensive line. I mean, that now is just by far the biggest question mark on this team, especially when you're going on the road and playing a defensive line with two consensus top 10 players on Nate Tice's NFL Big Bowl.
Oh, dude, Caleb Banks is a dog now. Y'all gonna go ahead and play around. You go right on ahead. Tyreek Sapp is a dog. You got a problem in week 3. I'm gonna tell you right now, on Ruffino and Joe show, we did a deep dive on Florida. We got a dogfight on our hands. I don't give two shits what their schedule looks like. If they got a loss coming into here, you're in for a dogfight. Carter, we don't have the starting 5 offensive line right now. And Carter, I said this 2.5 months ago on Ruffino and Joe show. Okay, I was throwing out the Caleb Banks stuff way before they started projecting him in the top 5. Way before. The videos are there. All right, y'all go ahead and play around. Go ahead and play around and find out what's going to happen to you.
Right. So it's something I think about quite a bit. You know, your play caller is so important, especially now that everybody's got freaking snipers as play callers. I mean, the play calling ability, like, by Petrino is a mastermind. I don't know if he's top 3 or 4 now in the SEC. I mean,
Kirby Moore might be not in the top 5 anymore off after what happened last season, but he's still a sniper.
Yeah. I mean, like, the offense, it's in, and I'm not exaggerating. It's kind of like you mentioned Matt McMahon a minute ago, how good the basketball coaches are. I mean, everybody is so freaking good offensively now. And, I'm cheering for Sloan. I like Sloan personally. I like how hard he works on the recruiting trail. I mean, he really does work.
He's always working his ass off. Yep.
I mean, and I want it to work. Louisiana native, young guy, all those different things. I mean, he freaking loves what he does. He works his ass off. It's this conference, and it's hard. Now, the thing is, I've had conversations with Nuss, a pretty prominent national media member, reach out to me about my thoughts on Nuss today. Someone I've not talked to in a while. I mean, and we talk about him ad nauseum. We talk about him every week, so we won't go into it. But, let's just say Nuss doesn't run a whole lot next year when we know he needs to. If the deep ball accuracy gets better, you can work around that and still make the playoff. So if those things get cleaned up, it'll make your play calling a lot easier if your deep ball accuracy gets better. So we'll see if it works out.
All right. Let me just say this. For me, I just quite simply do not understand the run game sequencing. I do not get it. I don't understand what they're trying to do. I don't know what they're trying to accomplish. Carter, there are multiple times in that A&M game, they're running on the opposite side of the tight end. They're running on the wide side of the field when the running back on the wide side of the quarterback, and they're trying to run where 3 guys are blocking 4, and we're wondering why the run game's not working. Like, I mean, I thank God that somebody showed me how to pull up the clip, because I will start clipping this shit. We are running into the teeth of a defense where we got 3 guys to block with 4 dudes in the box, and there's no way to block that. You're putting the tight end on the wrong side of the formation. You're not giving Caden Durham and Josh Williams any hope. I don't understand that. Let's see if Alex Atkins changes some of that stuff. Yeah. Here's what I'll tell you. I'm not bringing it up. This will be the only sentence that I have. Joe Sloan, from a passing game standpoint, in South Carolina and Ole Miss, you're right on the deep ball accuracy. The jump that Aaron Anderson makes against Ole Miss that was ruled incomplete, Carter, that is one hell of a catch that he'd have to make. that is massively a late thrown ball. So when it's down the sidelines, it's not that it's always his arm accuracy. It's the timing of things. Carter, timing-wise,
Yeah.
I mean, quite frankly, I think a lot of this shit's timing. I could literally pull up at least 100 times where you got to throw the football, and either we got scared in the pocket, they sent pressure because they knew that happy feet would happen, or you should have thrown the ball before the receiver's out of the break, knowing what he was going to run. That is a fact. And if people want me to start pulling that shit up, the South Carolina interception, that is a blatant, you got to throw the opposite side when the route is being broken. You got to know that he's running an in route, and you got to know that he's in man-to-man. You got to know that they're going to play man-free on one, they're going to play man on another, and they're backing out zone, and Nick Emenwari's going to sit there. They did it all game. That was like the fourth time that they did it. So Sloan has got to put Garrett in better positions, and Garrett cannot turn the ball over. Y'all can come to me all y'all want to. Turnovers in sports and in football will kill you. That is not all on Sloan, but it also is on him because he's not getting it through. He's not getting something through about some of these instances that are happening. So I do think that you could have a playoff caliber defense. I do. Carter, I do not know if you can have a caliber offense. That will be the question.
Yeah, and honestly, I think a few of these games can be won ugly, and that's
and you might have to.
And because a lot of LSU's games last year were entertaining as hell, and it was chaotic.
Too entertaining. I don't want that. I want to blow some people out, please. Good Lord.
No. Well, I mean,
that's not happening.
No, they'll have 2 blowout wins versus solid teams. I'm calling it now. They had one last year.
Not going to happen.
Well, no, they had a few, but we'll see.
All right, Carter the Power. Thank you, buddy.
All right, bud. Cheers.
Peace out. He's fantastic. I think humbly, I do think Carter's the best. Humbly. All right, since we got to the Big J journalism, we're not going to get to it here. We'll see y'all tomorrow, man. Y'all have a good night. Peace.